stories of pharmacists and a pharmacy owner. Anya, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Joe. How are you?
Good. Are you yes or no to Fiver Friday? Are you in or out?
I'm out to Fiver Friday, absolutely, because it's not Fiver Friday. I just want to address something quickly. I am aware that the IPU have been engaged in talks with the minister. All I can say on that is that I am not privy to those talks, nor am I involved in any of those. I'm a community pharmacist who works in a socially, demographically poor area, and that's what I'm speaking on here. I do wonder why this is the second time a minister has announced the rollout of a HRT scheme without having agreed upon correctly or agreed upon with the IPU a process that works for all parties involved. But I guess with regards to the €5 Friday question, as you put it, Joe, I would ask the minister on that, if it is what she says is to be a €5 fee plus the cost of medicine, well, Minister, is that the cost of the medicine based off the current FEMPI remuneration process and structures that we have in place at the moment? Or what do you mean by the cost from the cost of the medicine point of view? So 100% of the cost?
Of the cost of the medication, yes. Yes, and the five is, and thanks, Anya. The fiver is so for a lot of patients on the GMS, the broader publicly funded patients already. This is something of an uplift, because generally dispensing fees, just for the benefit of your listeners, I know Anya knows this very well, are in the range between €3 and €5 per product, Joe, with one exception, which is contraception, which is €6.50. And so €5 is at the absolute upper end of what we pay normally, with the exception of the contraception model. And that
Minister, respectfully, €5 is what you pay plus less than cost of the product. We don't get paid a margin on that. We get paid less than the cost of the product in a €5 fee, if even. It's a tiered structure, and so we actually, whilst we provide those products, we are currently subsidising loss-making schemes through the GMS
and I think
and
that's
the drug payment scheme.
Particularly the case, as you correctly raise, with the FEMPI, with what you describe as the FEMPI costs, and just for the benefit, just for the benefit of people who don't have the same depth knowledge as yourself, myself, Anya, on some of that. There's absolutely, and it's one of the first things we want to do, and we already have a pot of money identified for it, is pharmacists haven't had an uplift in their fees for a very, very long time now. They also have had a bigger volume of of people getting medication and so on, but they haven't had an uplift in fees. And I have a portion of money specifically for that. And I have a whole load of things that we want to do that's very ambitious for pharmacists, not just in terms of uplifting the fees on everything else, but bringing in new, different revenue streams as well to pharmacies. And that'll be more relevant for some pharmacies than others, because as Anya has said there, she works in an area of particular social profile.
So there are a lot of people
some are different.
hopefully will be covered by the medical card.
Because but different pharmacies have different profiles. Some might have more private patients, some might have more medical card patients. But I absolutely want to get to that. And it was one of the earliest conversations I had with the IPU. And the reason there, you asked me a second question very reasonably, Anya, was why go ahead again without the agreement. And the reality is, like, sometimes we just need to do that in order to move forward, and it's not just the only place that this has happened. So,
Minister,
for example,
respectfully, we have to take the IPU is our representing body, and we have to take instruction from them and put on a united front. And if the IPU have rejected what you have proposed, then how are we supposed to facilitate this rollout? With the current IT and payment processing process in place, and the medicine shortages in place, how do you propose realistically by June 1st that this will all be put in? If you yourself have said the IPU
you're talking about
it.
talking about shortages, but Anya, you're saying I think there's 1,800 pharmacies are members of the IPU. Would that be? I don't know many pharmacies around the country.
I couldn't confirm the exact figure myself.
Well, it strikes me there's many more. There's a lot of competition now among pharmacies. Do you think pharmacies, individual pharmacies, or indeed chains, will break ranks and say, "Hang on, this is in the interest of women. We'll accept the fiver. We'll accept the fiver for each product we dispense." Do you think anyone? You're saying you won't.
I won't. Joe, it would be wrong for me to comment on what other people
I
would
know,
do, but I can say that the pharmacy sector at the moment is maxed to capacity with what it can provide. I'm aware that the PSI, which is the regulatory body which is fully responsible for the safety of patients, has acknowledged in the Workforce Intelligence Report that there is massive burnout being faced in pharmacies at the moment because we simply cannot sustain and provide the current services that we have.
Yeah, but over the last few years, as you know, Anya, there have been massive buyouts of pharmacies. Massive, major names are now here. Major amalgamations are now here.
Sure.
There's branding now of pharmacies. They were hardly buying it for these companies, and I'm not talking about the pharmacy. Everyone knows how brilliant our pharmacists are, and their pharmacy assistants, and indeed all the staff in a chemist, as we call them. But all these buyouts they weren't done by St. Vincent de Paul. They were done by companies who want to make money. So there's a lot of, and rightly so. There's nothing wrong with that, but there is money in the pharmacy world now. Maybe the pharmacies or the individual workers say we're not getting it. Maybe it's the big companies that own a lot of the pharmacies. Do you think anyone? No, there's no point in me asking because you say you don't know. I just wonder, will one of those big chains break? And there's new chains coming in. There's a new camp. There are a few of them in Dublin. I see one in Carlow. These so-called cost chemists or whatever. Well, they say we'll sign up for the scheme. We'll put the sticker in the window, and then other
if they do that, they will be signing up to a loss-making service, and they'll make that money back. Exactly, it isn't St. Vincent de Paul; it's business in those entities that you're describing.
But they would say
they'll make their money back through retail.
To footfall,
but I honestly, it's beyond my remit to comment on it.
Okay, but you're saying for the time being on you.
If I could ask the Minister another question, actually. In relation to the rollout of this HRT scheme, Minister, given the current shortages that we're facing and have been tackling for years now, which include very common HRT products like, for example, the Estradiol patch, which you only need to go on the HRT.
Just let the Minister, I'm conscious of time on you. And this is a question coming in, Minister, from shortages. How are you going to address the shortages? Sir?
Shortages are a big problem, and Estradiol, I think there's 4 different patches, and from time to time this one is short or that one is short, and I've been providing updates to the Shannon and others about where we are and when we can expect them back, because this is a European-wide shortage. And this is why the expertise of pharmacists is so important, because, I mean, not every woman is on the patch, but many are. And where it is short, pharmacists are using their expertise to advise women about alternatives. And their expertise really does need to be paid for. And the sustainability of pharmacies is very, very important. And I want to introduce a whole range of different revenue models for pharmacists. Like, for example, it has been possible since last September to get a prescription extended by a pharmacist instead of a doctor. But it hasn't been implemented yet, and it could be implemented. I want people to be able to go in. Pharmacists are so expert, they're so well trained. I want them to be able to go in and get a prescription instead of having to go to the doctor and pay the pharmacist a fee and get the medication there and then. This is particularly important, particularly, say, for older women. I go back to UTIs, instead of having to wait to get a doctor's appointment to go into the pharmacist. But it is important as well. Like, I really do respect what Anya is saying in relation to agreement, and it's, in Ireland and the Irish government are always trying to do things with agreement with representative bodies, but sometimes you do just need to press on. And it's also the case, you've heard me now on the radio about public only consultant contracts and signing up so the doctors can work on Saturday. And when that contract was brought out in 2023, there was no agreement from the representative bodies.
What are we going to do when I get a prescription for an Estradiol patch, and the use of my expertise is sourcing? And I source by going to other companies and getting what would be called an unlicensed product or an off-label product. And that product is going to be more expensive. Are you going to reimburse the cost of the more expensive product when the shortage goes?
Of the medication.
You're going to reimburse the unlicensed product that I have to source. And are you going to pay me a fee for the additional work involved for me to have to source that?
Well, I just want to go back to the point about moving things on in healthcare. Like the Hospital Consultants Association, the IMO, rejected the public only consultant contract, but now 62% of consultants are signed up to it, and so we have to move forward these different things. I've spent the last 4 months trying to negotiate a solution, but I don't have the budget to go any further.
I've been fair to Anya in terms of time, and thank you, Anya, so much.